We have a great show today. You know, we've learned that music improves math and science scores for young minds, but learning to play the guitar in particular is a great way to improve your coordination, fine motor skills, and focus. It's like a workout for the brain. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson, and today's guest is going to be talking about and sharing their love of teaching and playing the guitar. Welcome Marc Michaud to the show. Marc, we are so glad to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
We've got all kinds of great things we're going to look at and talk about. We're going to hear you play a little bit. So tell us how you came to be connected to the guitar and music.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to get made fun of all the time. People used to like peep in my window at night. I used to roll around on my bed with headphones on. We're talking like when I was 6 years old. And I would roll around on the bed fantasizing about being in a band. I did that for years. And my parents never really got that clue. So it was my brother, when I was a teenager, who finally turned me on to Led Zeppelin. And I listened to Jimmy Page, and from then on out, I bought a guitar. And Jimmy Page and Randy Rhoads, probably my two biggest influences. And that's pretty much what did it.
So did you take lessons? Did you teach yourself? What was the process to get to where you are today?
So I started and played for about 4.5 years, and all by ear. It was before, obviously, any online. It was the mid-'80s, watching MTV, listening to CDs, and learning to hate the scan button on the CD, because if you hold it down, it'll scan, and if you push it just once, it goes to the beginning of the song. So in the 70s and the 60s, you could like skip through to a song really easily and just lift the needle and go to the middle of the song with a CD player, like holding it down. Did a lot of that, and then after about 4.5 years, I signed up to Schoolcraft and took lessons.
Wonderful. Do you remember the first song that you played that you felt you really did it well?
Yeah, Dust in the Wind.
Oh, there you go.
Cathartic, I don't know. But yeah, we're all dust in the wind. So the first song I actually felt good about was about that.
Awesome. And when did you start teaching? So you got to the point where obviously you felt good enough about it that you wanted to share that with other people.
What was the question again?
When did you start teaching?
Oh, when did I start? 1992.
Okay.
Yeah, so after about 2 years of going to school for music, I started at teaching out of my basement and went from there. Went to Wayne State after that and got my other degree in guitar performance and started teaching and performing at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are guitars not the only instrument, but do you play other instruments, just the guitar?
I dabble with bass, keyboards, and vocals, but that's about it, mostly guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you have a couple different kinds of guitars today. For the novice like myself, what are the different kinds of guitars that there are to play, and which ones do you play?
So there are electric and acoustic.
Okay.
So acoustic means, you know, the wooden guitar that you don't have to plug in. And then there are subcategories of those. So with acoustic guitars, you have steel string and then you have nylon string. Steel string are the ones that you're probably used to, the one that you said that you had received and broke a string on.
Yes.
And then the one that has the open headstock where you can see through it, see holes in it, those are nylon strings, and that's meant for fingerstyle. Electric guitars, really the only difference between them is it's usually a solid body, and there are pickups that pick up the sound from the strings. And they play more stuff like rock and roll and rockabilly, stuff like that, blues and stuff like that. So electric, you need an amp, a little bit more stuff for it.
So what did you start with your first guitar that you played? Do you still have it?
It is sitting right there. It's to the right.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep. The Yamaha. Yes, I do.
And do you remember where you got it?
That's a good question. No, I really don't.
The fact that you still have it is the
just
important piece, right?
Yeah. I ended up buying a bunch of them after that. That one I think was a $100 purchase from a friend of a friend, if I had to guess. Funny thing is a friend of mine, I gave it to him, and it was like in 1992. He had it for 30 years. I never liked the guitar. He held on to it for 30 years, or let's see, yeah, it's about 30 years. And he gave it to me last year, and now it sounds better than ever. It's a spruce top, so it's the yellow wood, and it finally opened up. So now it sounds like a much better guitar than what I ever remembered. It's amazing. So thanks.
And for the novice, it sounds like guitars can change over time.
They
from what
do.
You're saying.
They're
wow.
like,
okay.
Plenty like cars, I guess, except cars probably degrade. Guitars actually can upgrade.
Oh wow.
And raise their value. depending on the wood, you do have to take care of it. And humidity, you got to make sure that you keep it in a safe environment so it's not getting too much humidity or too lack of there.
Well, that might have been what contributed to my breaking that string on that original guitar I got from the
been.
Sears Roebuck catalog when I was a kid. So,
Well, I think you hit the head of the nail too with the Sears Roebuck. No offense against Sears, but
no
you know,
offense,
might have
but
been a cheapie.
these are probably worth a little bit more than that.
To be honest, they're really not that expensive. The only one that was really expensive is the one that would be on the left. That would be a much more expensive, but these are mid-grade, and that's what I try to do. I'd rather have bulk so I can use them,
Right.
as opposed to just one really expensive one that sits in the corner and people just go, "Wow, that's really nice," but
then,
they don't.
right,
You never
and they don't
play
it.
Yeah.
Well, we want to get to you playing something for us. So tell us a little bit about the song that you selected, or that I was encouraging you to play today for us.
It's ironic. All right, it'd be a coincidence, I guess you could say. So it's part of the medley that my buddy Ron and Kevin Del Pup, who is a faculty here.
Yeah.
My drummer, and Ron, the bass player, we're doing Sleepwalk by Brian Setzer. So this is just a little bit of it. Should I?
Sure,
start now?
we would
Okay.
love to hear you.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand!
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and joining me again today is Marc Michaud. We went into the commercial break last time hearing Sleepwalk from one of my favorite artists. Looked intricate to me. I am a guitar novice, so I know nothing about it. How long did it take you to learn how to play that song?
So 2008, I had a student who came to me when YouTube was still fresh and just said, hey, I want to learn this today. Brian Setzer playing Sleepwalk. And I'm watching it and looking at him, and I'm like, you think I could show this to you right now? And he's like, well, I want to learn it like by the end of the lesson. And I'm like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I learned it in, I was not able to play it until probably at least a year before I was able to actually play it right.
Yeah.
But I tried to show him piece by piece. So the way you do that is you break it down into like maybe a 10 measure section. You learn it with them. That's the secret. You learn it with them. It's one of the things that I did for that song, for sure.
And it sounds like it's a, I don't teach music, but I teach other things. It sounds like it's an iterative process that's based on each person. Like there's like a give and take. So talk about that as a teacher. Like how do you know? Like you don't know how long it's going to take to teach them, right? Because it's going to depend.
Yeah, that was kind of a nightmare scenario. I mean, most guitar teachers would just say, "So how about we do this instead?" I like the challenge. So.
Smoke on the Water? Do you like to start with Smoke on the Water or no?
How about Stairway to Heaven?
I know, there it is.
or what is today's hated songs? There's a few of them, but it's not as hated, they're just overplayed. But those are fine because there's a reason why they were overplayed. They're great tunes and they serve a purpose. So, but yeah, as far as iterative process, it's definitely a give and take. And a lot of times you just have to keep, it's sometimes hard for me to do, but you got to keep what your feelings about certain things are at the back window and just leave it there. They want to learn certain songs by pop artists. You may not like it. You got to show it to them.
Sure, sure.
So every person is different, and there's really, like if we look at all these books, there's different styles for this instrument. So some is going to be more classical guitar, which is really mellow, and we'll say it's kind of like back room music, the kind of stuff that you'd hear in an elevator maybe even, or rock and roll where you're going to get things like Brian Setzer and you're going to get things like Smoke on the Water and Led Zeppelin and things like that.
The things I like, so this is good.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I know you have some pictures you're going to talk us through that's just going to give us a little idea behind some of this. So we're going to take a look at those now and just tell us what we're looking at.
Okay. Oh, that was my last band, 7 to 0. And I think that was when we were playing at US 1. So that was March 17th. That was a St. Patty's Day gig. There's a funny story to that. I don't know how much time we got, but we actually did a St. Patty's Day gig. Then we went a couple, I guess it would be about a year after that. We did the St. Patty's Day gig, had all these Irish Celtic tunes worked up, and then we went to the studio to record ourselves. We had a bunch of music written. And the band that bumped us out, I cannot remember their name, but they were a Celtic rock Irish punk band.
Oh.
And they took our time in the studio, and we had to take their after sections. So like we couldn't take the time that we really wanted. We had to pay extra and play and record on a Sunday as opposed to a Friday. It was not the greatest.
Wild.
That is my son playing a banjo.
Oh, cool.
When I first was given the banjo. Yeah, and that's in my studio there. This is one of my current students. I won't say his name, but he's a great kid and he's doing great right now. He is learning Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode.
Oh,
right now.
A great song.
Probably playing it right there.
Fantastic. You picked some real good ones here.
So yeah, when it comes to the light show and everything like that, those lights are really cool. They add, I guess, a dimension, so it makes you feel like you're on stage. But this is my studio too.
That's awesome. How often do you perform and where? Where do you perform?
Well, it depends. It's catered to whatever I can get, really.
Yeah.
So usually it's with the band, it'll be in a bar, or it'll be at maybe like a wedding or some sort of an event like that. Or with personal solo stuff, it'd be usually weddings.
Yeah. Do you get nervous because you came into the studio today and, you know, we were like, hey, do you want to play something? Yeah, okay. Well, what do you want to play? Okay, let me just play this song. It happened to be one I requested. So do you get nervous when you perform?
Oh yeah, positive energy. So you just,
Okay.
it sounds like a myth. You just turn it into the anxiety. You just try to make it positive. So really is just taking any nerves and just remembering why. You're playing a guitar.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're changing the world.
Well, sometimes you are for those kids in the audience who might be watching.
Now, if I start thinking of it like that, then I'm going to get really nervous.
Okay, don't be nervous. It's fine. No, nobody's watching. No.
No, you do get used to it.
And how do you work through that? Because I think that might be something that people who are going to perform, you know, if they're in their room just kind of doing this, or they're in their house, but they want to go to the next level and they can't. How do you get over that? How do you get yourself out there? Okay.
Yeah, you gotta just pull the plug. Sometimes we do once a year I do a jam session with my students with the band that I play with, and they all get nervous. And I said, this is why you do this. You learn the guitar. You don't want to just play the guitar, do you? If you do, that's fine. But if you want to play in front of people at some point and play in a band, you want to get that first one under your belt.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They get a chance to play with the band. So you do it once, it gets easier. Do it a second time, it gets easier from there.
And we were talking, you know, at the commercial break about some of the shows we've seen, and just I'm always amazed when you can really see the true, not that you're not a true professional, but the true professionals, they're going out there for 2 hours.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They don't, you know, I don't hear a mistake from it. I mean, what does it take to get to that level? You know, I can't imagine.
First of all, everyone, like every show you go to, there's mistakes. It's not the mistake, it's how you recover from it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, to play a 3-set show, you're going to first of all, make mistakes. So not being afraid to make a mistake is number one.
Yeah.
And then if you're on tour and you're playing with a band that you've been playing that same set for 14 different shows, maybe even 20, it's so rehearsed. You've done it so many times. It's just like breathing.
Yeah.
Everything is rehearsed.
Well, it's amazing. Good advice. You make mistakes, expect them, but just keep going on. Good advice for playing a guitar and also for life too. I have a feeling. Well, we have to take a short break, but when we come back, you're going to hear more from Marc, and we'll talk a little bit more about guitar. Stay tuned.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
So we were walking to school.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom packed me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really want
smart.
cheese pizza.
Sometimes her mind wanders.
We should have a sleepover.
I remember saying, Laura?
I think I heard Mom say something.
The sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
I really hope she doesn't have
I really
another
hope we
bad
don't
day
have another bad day at school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
Here we are back at Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and we're with Marc Michaud, and heard some great playing, saw some awesome pictures in the last segment. I want to make sure people know how to find you. How can they get in touch with you?
The best way is online at my website, www.diverseguitar.com.
Okay. And you've been in a couple different bands. You're in bands now?
Yeah, several.
Several. I always
Yeah.
crack up when people say several. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's talent.
The one that we're in right now is just me and Ron and Kevin Del Pup, and I've got a female singer, Marcia, that we're going to be working with.
Awesome.
Kevin Del Pup, as I mentioned earlier, is faculty here. And also, the last one we were in was 7-0, and it was a mixture of funk, country, blues, and rock and roll.
Oh, that all sounds good.
Yeah, those are the last two.
Fantastic. Well, we've got some video to show our audience now too, so we'll take a look at that to see you in action.
This is the one we're in right now.
Well, I don't know about everybody at home, but everybody in the audience, the students were all kind of rocking out there. This like nice mellow vibe. That was great. So where were you playing there?
I was at my studio where I teach.
Oh, wow. Love the lights in the background and everything. You're right, it does add a little bit something to it.
They were timed with the music, so every time Kevin would hit the drums, the light would change colors, and the camera was trying to catch up, so it didn't quite track the way I wanted it to.
Well, just as we're talking about this today, you know, there's got to be people out there right now who maybe just picked up a guitar for the first time, or they're thinking about it, and they might need a little encouragement. What advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
You know, the fact that they're thinking about it, that's all they really need right there. And then from then on, it's going to be either up to their parents or whoever they're around to tell them to go get one. Mm-hmm. In a perfect situation, they would talk to me or somebody else to guide them as to what they want to get, though. But the first thing is just have that inspiration. And usually that comes from listening to lots and lots of music. So we got to have that radio on or something in the background. If you're one of those that's always got earbuds in and you're listening to music, chances are you want to play an instrument.
And what do you think music does for people? What does it do for humans?
It really does help you with everything as far as life goes. It's a very rewarding thing to do. So for me, not only is it a source of income, but a sense of pride. It also makes you better at math, which is true. And so simple numbers, you know, I can balance my budget a lot easier. I know that because I can think about the circle of fifths. Not that that really matters, but it does help you engage into other people too when you're in a band. So a lot of times when you are trying to communicate with other people, it makes it easier. If you feel like you've been playing with other musicians, you can communicate. So learning how to do that does help.
And what do you see for the future of what you're doing with guitar, your teaching or your bands? If you had to take a look into the future, what do you see?
Keep going. Same thing that I'm doing right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just
Mark,
want to keep doing it.
We love that, and we're so glad we've had you here on Celebrate Michigan, and we're glad you stayed to watch us on Celebrate Michigan so that we could talk about and hopefully get you thinking about playing the guitar. Mark's going to play for us at the end here, and we'll see you next time.